I saw you interact with Scattervault on Twitter a few days ago. Scattervault was saying he was worried about reviewing the 16GB RTX 4060 Ti because he didn't want to damage his relationship with NVIDIA. My question is, do you ever worry about damaging relationships with brutally honest reviews? Can't say that's something we do typically.
Yeah, we've never really cared. And this goes back well before Hardware Unboxed was a thing, and I guess we have to give some credit to like TechSpot as well, because I've always been free to just rip a product a new one if required, and TechSpot's they've never edited my words, they've never downplayed it, they've never said, oh, you can't say that, or they've never really, I suppose it was a risk on my behalf as well, because I mean, before Hardware Unboxed, I was employed and still work freelance for TechSpot.com. And I guess, in a way, my job was sort of on the line, because if NVIDIA did decide not to sample me because I was saying mean things, then that would somewhat compromise my job, because I can't do my job for TechSpot. So then I would be in a position where I'd have to go buy the product, and we didn't quite have that sort of budget back then, because we didn't have things like Patreon and Floatplane and a big YouTube channel, so that would have made it more difficult. But yeah, NVIDIA was always pretty good back in the day. There was a few times where I remember I wrote an article about Ashes of the Singularity, and I think the DirectX 12 performance wasn't very good, and we sort of explained why. And NVIDIA wasn't too happy about that, but they never threatened to pull samples or anything like that. They always sort of copped it. So,
and that's the case with most companies. Like, yeah, negative reviews, it's not, companies will often get a bit angry about them, and a very common thing would be the whole, we need a bit of clarity about what you've just said in your reviews. Can we ask a few additional questions? This will just be private, behind the scenes sort of emails or phone calls or things like that. So that's very common to get the we need a few more things from you. But as far as like going beyond that and sort of, we're never going to speak to you ever again type behavior, it's not really something we've experienced. Right. We've been pretty harsh to a lot of different companies. And again, like, our main philosophy is we're not at all reviewing products for companies. We're reviewing it for the consumer, you guys watching the videos. So we're coming from your perspective. So I guess while some of the things may upset like engineers, people who've worked on products, who have genuinely put a lot of time and effort into these things, if we're sort of thinking about those relationships and going, oh, this might upset a person or whatever, then it sort of takes away from thinking about what's best for the consumer and what's best for the viewer, because ultimately the viewers pay our bills. So,
so it's never a concern of ours. I don't really think it should be a concern of anybody reviewing or testing computer hardware, because it just shouldn't be. You should go full steam ahead, give your honest opinion of the product. And that's that. You don't have to say what Gamers Next is saying or Hardware Unboxed is saying. You can put your own spin on it. You'd have to justify it pretty well, like what we do with data. But yeah, if you don't think it's a good product, then you definitely should say that. And yeah, as Tim said, generally speaking, companies like NVIDIA have been really good to work with. I know we had a silly little weird situation with them a few years ago, but for the decade before that, NVIDIA was a good company to work with. And really, I mean, I think I said this in one of my recent reviews, I definitely feel bad for the people at NVIDIA who are tasked with dealing with reviewers and getting positive feedback on products like the RTX 4060 Ti. Like that job can't be fun right now. And I know a lot of NVIDIA employees are passionate about PC tech, gaming and whatever. And I just think, man, imagine being in the position where you have to justify the existence of something like an RTX 4060 Ti.
It's certainly difficult. And I think that gets kind of lost in some of these discussions about like companies getting mad about reviews and things. Almost everyone that I've ever interacted with at a company like NVIDIA has been super passionate about the technology and making games better. So, some of these decisions that are made by companies on things like GPU pricing is one example. It's really not the same group of people that is developing the cards, developing the features, and is trying to do all that side of things. So you often run into these people who are like, they're like DLSS, for example, they would be really passionate about, we think this is a really awesome technology, it's great. And they're not really thinking about how it's selling GPUs. They're just like, well, I've spent, the last 5 years of my life working on this feature. And so they really want to get the message out about how it works and how well it improves the gaming experience. But then they're sort of hamstrung by other people in the company who are using it for other means, like to sell GPUs or to price GPUs in a different way. And that kind of takes away from the product some of the time. And so you do feel for those people when you meet them who, again, at NVIDIA, most people are very, very passionate about these products. And as you say, there's people who are tasked with, they get the email or the document from higher up saying, this is what we're pricing it at. And they're like, oh,
they know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they have to sort of think about it. And you can sometimes get the vibe of that when we're doing press briefings or something where they're kind of trying their best to sort of hype the product and sell it, and we're asking a few difficult questions and they're like, yeah, we understand that viewpoint. And it's like, it's difficult. So yeah, relationships with companies, we don't want to, jeopardize relationships for no reason, like sort of going after them for things that aren't true or haven't been backed up by data or something like that. We really want to make sure that everything we say is fair. But at the same time, our primary concern will always be viewers and consumers, the people that are watching this video and pay the bills, really.